Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to show you how I made this 2x4 Christmas tree. It's perfect for decorating around the house. I hope you enjoy. Okay, so basic designs for our 2x4 here. We're going to have one basic design where we have a 40-degree cut on each side of our 2x4, and it's going to measure 15 inches in length. Okay. We're going to call this A. Anywhere you see A, I have a 2x4. It's 15 inches long with a 40-degree cut on each side. So we have A, 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 and A down here. So for our A piece, 15 inches long, 40-degree cuts, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these. 4 of those that we're going to cut. This one is going to be A plus 1/2 inches. So instead of being our normal 15 inches, it's going to be 16.5 inches long. The reason it's going to be 16.5 inches long is because it overhangs this board here, which will add 1.5 inches to our overall length. The difference in these two at the bottom is this angle here that's going to even up with our straight board is going to have to be a 20-degree cut. So these are still going to be 15 inches, but these bottom angles, instead of being 40 degrees, will be 20 degrees. This piece here will be a straight piece, and we're just going to cut that to length, which means we're going to put everything else together, hold a straight piece up, mark it, take it to the miter saw, cut it at a 90-degree cut, and then it'll fit perfectly. So this is our basic design for our Christmas tree. Let's go over the miter saw, and we're going to start making a lot of these cuts at this 40-degree angle and 15 inches long. So here's our 15-inch long point-to-point 40-degree cut on each side. Again, I called this the letter A in the design. I'm going to go ahead and cut 3 more of these and cut the rest of the boards I need to make my Christmas tree stand out of 2x4s. Once I have everything cut, I'm going to go ahead and lay it out on the ground in my garage. And for these top 2 pieces, you can see the overhang there. That's why I needed the one at 16.5 inches. And I went ahead and nailed those 2 together. After nailing those 2 together, I decided that nails alone would not be strong enough to hold these 2x4s. So I'm going to go ahead and screw the rest of the pieces together. All of my screws are going to come from the inside, so that way I hide the screw heads. And I'm going to screw 2 screws at each point, connecting the inside board to the outside board. What you're going to see me do is not pull out the tape measure to measure how far down I'm screwing these 2 boards together. I'm using one of my other boards to follow that 40-degree line and just line up my second board point, inside point of the second board, to that 40-degree. This is just a quick little template I came up with to quickly measure to make sure that my spacing was on point. I don't want to spend the time taking my tape measure out for every board, So this is what I came up with, and it's helping me screw together this tree pretty quickly. Having a ratcheting gun like I have here with my Makita makes this project so much easier. I'll make sure to put links to all the tools and materials I'm using in the description below of this video. If you want to click on any of those links and check out any of the tools that I'm using, they'll be right there for easy access. Okay, not seen on this video, but I did take a long 2x4 and put it up flush on the bottom of this tree, measured it, and cut it to length. So after I cut it to length, I'm going to throw a couple screws in, again, from the bottom, so that way I hide the screw heads, and connect what's looking like a nice triangle tree now. Last piece that gets added on is another one of those A pieces that I talked about early on, 15 inches long with 240-degree angle cuts on it. I measure to make sure it is in the middle of my tree stand, so that way my tree is not wobbly or off balance. Go ahead and clamp this one down for good measure. And again, my screws are going to be coming from the bottom, so that way the screw heads are hidden. Very important here on the bottom, make sure you drive these screw heads all the way through so they're not sticking out and making the tree wobbly when you stand it up. I went ahead and did a couple of these at a time. So here's the one that I put together for the video first, and you can see it stands up rather nicely on its own. Time to finish this, and the first thing I'm going to do is sand off any of these stamps or any of these labels that are on the 2x4s that I got from the lumber yard. I'm using an orbital sander for this job. Again, I'll put links to all these tools and materials that I use in the description below, but take your time and sand off all of these stamps and labels before you try to finish this project in any way. It just gives it a nice clean look, looks a lot more professional than if you were to just stain over top of these labels. Now, of course, if you were going to paint a dark color, you could paint over these, but I'm going to go ahead and stain. So let's sand these off first. Stain color I chose for today was one that I had laying around the house. It's American Walnut Wiping Stain by Old Masters. And I'm also going to use a spar urethane that has some exterior elements in it, just in case my wife decides to put this tree outside instead of inside. You can see this wiping stain's been sitting around my house for quite a while, so let's make sure we mix this up nice and good. A wiping stain is similar to a gel stain in the fact that it's going to be thicker, so you really want to mix this together, but even after mixing, it's going to be thick. The reason I chose a wiping stain, and I would recommend a wiping stain or a gel stain for this project, is because the tree itself is standing vertical. Anytime you have a vertical project like this that you're trying to stain, I recommend a wiping or a gel stain because it will apply better to a vertical material, a vertical wood product like this without the stain running crazy. So I'm going to apply this with a brush. The brush helps you get into all those crevices, all those corners, and just goes on really nicely. The most important thing with a wiping stain is you have to wipe it. So when I have the tree completely covered, it almost just looks like a brown paint. The final touch of this is I need to grab some sort of rag and actually wipe the stain. When you wipe the stain, you want to wipe it in the direction of the grain. It's going to remove that top layer of stain and show the wood grain underneath, and it looks absolutely beautiful. So make sure you wipe off your wiping or your gel stain when doing this project, so that way you expose that beautiful wood grain. When I'm done with the gel stain, I'm going to spray that spar urethane just to give it a nice protective coat. I hope you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, and I hope you build one of these for your house in the very near future. Here's what the project looks like all completed. You can make these with various sizes and decorate them however you want. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button, and I always appreciate people subscribing to my channel.